2000's X-Men didn't just bring back superhero movies for the new millennium, it also made Hugh Jackman a household name. The man behind Wolverine had his life changed massively after the breakout hit released in theaters. The first X-Men was almost a very different movie. For one thing, Hugh Jackman nearly didn't appear in it. He wasn't even the director's first or second choice to play Wolverine. Initially, Mel Gibson's name was thrown around, but director Bryan Singer actually hoped Russell Crowe would play the part instead. However, the Gladiator star passed because he didn't think he was the right fit for the role and recommended Jackman in his place. This may have gotten Jackman in the door, but he still thought he didn't have a chance of being in the franchise when Dougray Scott was officially cast as Wolverine. Jackman came in as a last-minute backup for Scott, who was still working on Mission Impossible 2 when filming on X-Men was scheduled to begin. In the end, an accident on the set of the Tom Cruise film meant that Scott had to drop out, leading Jackman to take on the life-changing role of Wolverine. During an interview on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, Jackman recalled that his audition took place on the set when filming was already underway.
It was like this Hail Mary to begin with, which is probably the best way to do an audition. You're going in like,
In spite of the factors working against him, like the fact that he's a foot taller than Wolverine is in the comics, Jackman was given the part that he's held on to for decades. Everyone knows the name Hugh Jackman, and they can thank X-Men for that. The Australian actor may have received his sole Oscar nomination for Les Miserables, but he wouldn't have got there in the first place if not for his time in The Claws. X-Men had a huge impact on bringing the superhero genre into the mainstream, along with its rising star. As Jackman said on the Peter Attia Drive podcast, "I had no idea what would happen to the film at all. The success of it, no one knew that." Jackman was a relative newcomer when he was cast in 1999, and although X-Men marked his first big Hollywood role, he was actually warned against it. He recalled to Jimmy Fallon, "A mate of mine said to me, who was quite high up in the business, he said, 'The word on the street is not good about the movie. No one watches comic book movies. They're dead. That thing's gone forever. Book another movie before it comes out.'" Thankfully, Jackman gave his all to the movie anyway, knowing the producers were taking a chance on him as well. It paid off. Jackman's co-star, the legendary Patrick Stewart, said he saw the young actor's potential immediately. As Stewart recalled in his autobiography, making it so a memoir, "We were all rooting for him. He had that intangible star quality." Nowadays, there's no denying that Stewart's instincts were dead on.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
X-Men is a series about outsiders who struggle to conform. Mutants have trouble fitting in with humans, but Wolverine even has a hard time socializing with other mutants. Logan stands apart from the other characters for much of the film, and that's something that Hugh Jackman can relate to. Jackman made his way to X-Men from a West End production of Oklahoma, and found the transition to film to be a lonely process. The feeling was made worse by his arrival on the film 3 days into the shoot, along with the fact that he was surrounded by A-list stars and industry veterans. He recalled, "I just don't think I found my feet for a while. I came from the theater and we rehearsed. Let's work it out together. And it just wasn't that, and I felt very much on the outside." Jackman later revealed that it took years before he felt fully comfortable on a film set, but that discomfort seemed to serve him well on the set of X-Men. Thankfully, things started to turn around, and Jackman soon formed lasting friendships with many of his co-stars. Speaking of friendships with his fellow actors, Jackman formed particularly close bonds with two of his most decorated co-stars, Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. He found the men behind Magneto and Professor X to be hugely supportive and inspirational as they helped guide him through his early days in Hollywood. McKellen was the first to offer Jackman an important piece of acting advice that's always stuck with him.
I remember you pulling me aside and saying, "This at times is going to feel uncomfortable, it's going to feel overwhelming, but you're in good hands and everything's going to be okay."
The stop-start nature of filming was a bit of a learning curve after Jackman's theater experience, but McKellen's words helped him get a handle on it. Stewart also offered Jackman life advice that he's never forgotten. Jackman told The Hollywood Reporter that Stewart taught him to always make time for himself first thing in the morning before work. This is something he tries to live by, so you won't catch him reading the news or checking his emails the moment he wakes up. Instead, he prefers to sit and read a book with a cup of coffee. Although he experienced a difficult and lonely period on the set of X-Men during the early days of filming, Hugh Jackman was able to find comfort in the character of Wolverine. Jackman said he enjoys the experience of embodying a character so wholly different from himself, and he even finds opportunities to learn from Logan. He explained, "With Wolverine, I felt at the beginning like he was teaching me. This is going to sound weird, because I'm a people pleaser and he's the opposite, right? He almost to his own detriment is an outsider. I'm desperate to be an insider, so playing someone who will see opposite for me was great for me, so kind of relieving and fun." Wolverine may not be the most stable guy to take all your life lessons from, but learning to relax in your own skin and not to overvalue the opinions of others is certainly a positive thing. Over the years, as Jackman has regularly returned to his X-Men character, he took on another one of Logan's personality traits. He admitted, "I'm a pretty nice guy, but if you back me into a corner, you're gonna see the Wolverine in me."
You know, sometimes when you cage the beast gets angry.
Hugh Jackman only had a few weeks to get jacked to play Wolverine in X-Men, since filming had already begun when he was cast. Still, fans seem to agree that he did a pretty good job at packing on the muscle. Upon each return to the franchise, Jackman has gotten increasingly buff, but that can be a challenge, as his natural body type is pretty lean. As a dancer, Jackman finds that it doesn't serve him to have Wolverine's biceps when he's not filming, so his body changes more than most. Jackman's process for bulking up quickly to play Wolverine is something he's been honing for a long time. He typically gets ripped by hitting the gym twice a day, 6 times a week. He typically focuses on compound movements with free weights such as bench presses, squats, and deadlifts, as well as accessory movements like weighted pull-ups, push-ups, and curls. Jackman has also taken a few tips from other famously swole celebs like Dwayne Johnson. Diet also plays a big part in transforming Jackman's physique. Naturally, when he's trying to bulk up, Jackman needs to increase his calorie intake. While filming 2017's Logan, the actor said that he was consuming up to 8,000 calories per day, along with all of his physical training, of course. Not only was X-Men a successful film in its own right, but it also launched a multi-billion-dollar movie franchise and made Wolverine one of the most iconic heroes around. After showcasing his acting prowess, impressive physique, and talents as leading man in the 2000 movie, the job offers started pouring in for Jackman. In came parts in rom-coms like Someone Like You and Kate and Leopold, alongside action roles in Swordfish and Van Helsing. These action movies were a natural fit for Jackman coming off the X-Men franchise, but he said that he never felt like he was being typecast. The actor said, "I've never felt trapped. There was a little period in 2003 or 2004, I think, when I remember I was like, oh, I'm only getting action films. It was always a surprise to me, just like the musicals were a surprise." Instead, Jackman simply went with the flow until he was able to pick and choose the roles he wanted. When it was finally up to him, he maintained his love of the theater by participating in big screen adaptations of the Broadway musicals The Greatest Showman and Les Miserables. Jean Valjean in Les Mis was a dream role for Jackman, and he enjoyed singing alongside some of Hollywood's heaviest hitters. That said, he's always found his way back to Wolverine before long.
Patience is my strongest suit.
Part of what makes Hugh Jackman so convincing as Wolverine is his passion for the character. Although he wasn't that familiar with Wolverine's history in the comics prior to joining X-Men, he did plenty of research once he got the part. The longer Jackman plays Logan, the more he's come to appreciate the complicated hero. As the X-Men franchise expanded, Jackman got more involved in the production behind the scenes and advocated for his character wherever he could. He always made it clear that he's passionate about diving deeper into unseen aspects of Wolverine or exploring his backstory and motivations in a different way. Jackman got the chance to do this as an executive producer on X-Men Origins Wolverine, but it proved to be a frustrating experience he is still upset about. The mystery of Logan's past continued to unravel in The Wolverine, and for the actor, the movie was years in the making. Jackman told Collider, "I waited in a way 12 years for this chapter in this saga, for this samurai story. From the very first week I had on X-Men 1, I was reading this comic and Lauren Schuler-Dana and I were saying, one day, hopefully we get to do this story." The standalone Wolverine movies culminated with 2017's Logan, which earned an Oscar nomination for its screenplay. Jackman recalled fighting for the movie's title as executives were hesitant to move away from the Wolverine branding, saying, "I said, we gotta call it Logan because this is actually about more the human being than superhero." As we all know, Jackman and writer-director James Mangold won that battle, making Logan stand out as the bittersweet final appearance of the Wolverine we all know and love, until 2024 that is.
Just give me one more drink and then I'll leave.
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
Much of Hugh Jackman's adult life has been built around Wolverine. The actor told Slashfilm, "The character is very much the foundation, the spine of my career. The role made Jackman famous, but more importantly, it afforded him financial security early in his career." Jackman earned $500,000 for his debut in X-Men, and his salary has risen considerably with every outing since. He's earned in excess of $100 million from playing Wolverine to date, which makes up a considerable chunk of his $180 million net worth. Now, Jackman Jackman has been the guardian of one of Marvel's biggest characters for the better part of a quarter century. Although he initially meant for Logan to be his last hurrah in the signature sideburns, he went back on his promise so he could join the MCU with Deadpool and Wolverine. Logan has gone through a huge transformation and doesn't seem to be the same character that viewers remember, but Jackman is back nonetheless. This role marks a new phase in the actor's career, as rumors even suggest that Jackman will appear in the forthcoming Avengers Secret Wars. Whether or not he actually does remains to be seen, but 10 movies over 24 years is quite the legacy for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine.
Let's go.